matching shirts. So there you have it.
There we have it.
Carnegie was really concerned because today is not only Star Wars Day, it is also his concert day, and he was worried I wasn't going to have anything Star Wars to wear, so he wanted to be sure that I had something, so he gave me one of his Star Wars shirts to wear.
Well.
Yeah. Oh, I hate this.
What happened?
This just doesn't make, I don't like it when it's connected to the screen, because it's like, where is it?
Oh, we can just move it up here, it'd be easier.
No.
Actually, it'd be a really good idea. Guys, we do a tradition after every concert, which isn't a lot, but growing up, I feel like this is pretty standard with a lot of kids. They would, when we were growing up, it wasn't just us. It was after basketball games, any evening sports game, concert series, etc. The whole team would go to Dairy Queen. We just have to have Dairy Queen. And we do that tradition with our kids, and he always asks us. He always wants to know, are we going to get ice cream after his concert? And of course the answer is yes. But do you have favorite memories? I have fond memories. For whatever reason, I think mostly of my sister's basketball team.
Hang on, you have something.
Basketball team?
No,
this is my face right here?
No, you have something right on your nose. Don't look at don't find it in the screen. On your nose, right here. I don't know what it is. It's a scratch.
Maybe the Judy scratched me.
I don't know. It's weird though.
Uh-oh.
You should get that checked out.
Well, apparently I have to know my nose. I'm going to have ice cream on my nose to eat, but I have fond memories.
Yes, it is.
I have fond memories of going to Dairy Queen and just double banana split.
Oh,
it's so good. Come on, you're
I would get a peanut buster. I would get a peanut buster parfait, which was basically a gigantic chocolate sundae. That's what I would get.
Oh, this is my reaction. No, all ice cream is good. Delicious. I love ice cream.
I don't think Dairy Queen is actually ice cream. I think it's powder.
I think you're right.
I think it's powdered milk and sugar.
I think you're right.
That's all it is.
It tastes. It's not. Yeah, you're right. It does.
There's nothing. I was just talking to Carnegie, and I was like, I wish there was an ice cream out there that you could have at home that tasted like Dairy Queen, that didn't have to be necessarily homemade. Because if you home make your own ice cream, like you did in science class, it tastes like softer. That's what it tastes like.
What was that comedian who's like, don't you love it when people are fun? They do something that's really, really good, and they just kind of ruin it a little bit, like frozen yogurt. What's that comedian? He's like, it takes something really, really good, and you just kind of destroy it, kind of. So you can eat more of it. Because frozen yogurt, you always are tempted to eat more. I mean, theoretically, if you want to do
it's like when they made zero-carb beer or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
Just ruin it.
Although I do that because I sometimes will have flavored water and I'll crush water. Easy, no problem.
If it has a little flavor in
right there, I'll crush 2 of those.
If it has a little flavor.
Yeah, I'm just moving all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's true. So we have name tags printed, ready to go.
Yeah, our workshop is this weekend in 2 days.
Dropped off some of the materials that we needed. Hotel.
Yes,
so those are all ready to go, and we still have our free guide up. So if you're still I still don't know what Seconds Here do. Well, we made a free guide that you can download now. So look at our bio links, or you can just send a message, whatever platform you're watching on, or go to our website, beintact.com, and you can download it for free there.
Yep.
That's great. And it'll get you moving, get you thinking.
What's it called
relationships. Again? What's it called?
What's the, what are they downloading?
You're downloading a free guide. It's called a What to Say When guide. It's really like an exploration of how to get unstuck when you're stuck in communication, or maybe you're feeling stuck in a certain area with repetitive problems, or always the same thing over and over and over again. So this is going to address some of those things.
I love it. Yeah, it's a great resource. And I really want to share with you all what I did with you yesterday. I'm still spending time do it again. We were listening to some of the older.
It doesn't matter.
The older workshops, and one of our mentors said something really, really profound. I thought with you. He said, "See, we can't just tell you right now because it's going to sound like information. It's going to sound like we're just giving you
Yeah, and we've
something
talked
to
about this
know,
before. I
right?
think we actually have an
Um,
episode of the podcast that talks about this as
yeah,
well.
and he's like, which is distinctly different
Mhm,
than actually experiencing something for yourself.
mhm,
He said, just notice that you're kind of looking, you're kind of watching out for getting something. You're
mhm,
looking for something to receive
mhm.
versus what might be worthwhile while considering is pulling something out that's inherently there that's might be covered up or you're kind of unaware
By
of.
something,
Yeah.
or pushed down by something, or um, hidden by something.
Yes.
Mhm.
And it's I just I'll never forget that. I think from the very first course we did in Carlsbad, California, this is like 7 years ago. I'll never forget that distinction between teaching and education.
Yeah.
Teaching is to put in, educate is to actually pull out or bring forth.
Well, and I think something that is really tempting when you're reading a new book, maybe sitting in a class or in a workshop course, or maybe taking an online course, or even just like sitting and listening to a sermon at church. Like, I think it's very easy and tempting to listen to learn instead of listen to experience something new. Because a lot of the time when you sit in your seat, you're comparing it to what you know, you're comparing it to your past, like that's all you can do is actually compare it versus how do I experience this in my life right now?
Yes.
And when they said that thing, and my internal reaction was, I don't like that. Like, what is that experience? Because I think sometimes we think, oh, well, that part of me is hidden or packed down because of X, Y, and Z. And then you go, okay, but if you know that X, Y, and Z is hiding that one thing, then like you have power over that. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you have a choice there. Yes. Right. Aside from I'm gonna let that X, Y, and Z thing keep me in place for the rest of my life. That's why I have such a hard time when people use the word triggered or like, oh, that like triggers my past trauma. I'm like, wow, let's bring that into the present to just keep knocking you down a bit. Um, because if you're so clear on it, then there's actually something available to you there.
Well, it's important to see that you live I mean, you live your life as like
Yeah.
you don't just live it; you actually are that.
Mhm.
So it's very worthwhile to see that what you kind of to is enrolling not just yourself, but everybody else inside of agreement on the story that you have. Without it, you kind of you lose your sense of identity without your memory. And once you can see that, there's something that can be created on top of it. It's definitely an extraordinary way to experience
Mhm.
living and being related with other people again as well.
And I think there's something too. I know we
I,
experience this. What?
I just don't know why is it I'm always like so much farther back?
'Cause your legs are bigger and you have to cross your legs.
You
Cross
know,
your legs.
you I'll
Sometimes
move
a
your
little
chair
bit.
back next time.
The other thing is there's something I feel like we experience
Mhm.
by having had the experience of very like extraordinary relationship and very ordinary relationship. And in the uncovering of the things that we have gone through, there's very like I never have a fear of like saying to you because I'm like, well, if you get mad, you get mad, but I'm like assuming that responsibility of whatever it is, or like, yep, I that was hurtful, but like I'm also not gonna say what I feel like I need to say in a moment in order to express something. And have if there was something still like on top of that or a barrier there for me to not be able to say whatever it is that I need to say,
Yeah.
then it can start slowly turning into something that may
Mm.
resemble resentment
Mm.
or may resemble stonewalling or something.
Yeah.
And so you may think, oh, I can tell my partner anything. Like I'm like so open, I can tell them absolutely anything until you get to a moment where you're like they are just and I'm like, and it's like just like that little like lint in the dryer, and it's there. You're like, oh, it's there. And then someone said, well, you should tell them, oh, I can never. And it's like, well, whenever you feel that way because there's like a fear there. And the second that is like pulled out of you, I
Yeah.
think, which is like what you're getting
Yeah.
at. The second that is like off of you and like out there, it's like, oh, we can actually talk about like a whole lot because we live in this world sometimes in a relationship making our partner the bad guy and finding
Mm.
things to just continue making them the bad guy. So that way we over here have more reason to be fearful or unsafe or whatever. Because if I make you the bad guy, then I get to claim that I'm not safe to share X, Y, and Z.
Mm.
So it's very, very tricky. But you
Well,
and it's worth noticing. Um,
well,
and we kind of
yeah.
uncover some of that stuff. It's really good.
Yeah, and there's no real escape per se from the ordinary feeling of upset and this idea that we're kind of always evaluating ourselves and our partner against this ideal that we have, all the fantasy. Um, However, it doesn't mean we don't contend. Like there's a lot of I think even when you notice it, seeing it, I think just gives you the freedom to think to choose it and act whether you want to act upon it or not because choice is action. And I think sometimes that's where I know I contend with sometimes is like I I'm pretty clear that there's a fear or a fantasy. There's something like there's a major like hit against your relationship that's occurring, just being a human and sitting with it and letting it be, just experiencing that feeling until it dissolves and disappears, which it inevitably does, versus like taking action on it. And I think that's where I think a lot of wisdom and discernment is needed because I think there's an opportunity to get into a relationship and share, like what you said, that, like, if you want to create something. I think it really depends on too the type of awareness and the game that's worthwhile playing. Because there are plenty of times where it's like there's like this, it's like, you see it and it's like, well, I'm gonna go. I think I would applaud you because I think you're a lot better. I think you're more skilled, muscle stronger at noticing things for what they are and like letting them pass versus when to actually like enroll and actually create like a new agreement together for us to kind of fulfill upon.
Hmm.
Because I think those are it's like it's very similar actually to the upper limit. Like when you kind of are starting to kind of break through and level up your life, level up your health, level up your relationship, there's like this new ceiling that you encounter. And so if you're getting like 10% more of everything you wanted in a health and a relationship, like that becomes standard. And then you can't help but notice then the other whatever's remaining. And I think that is it's I know I've been really present this last week of being like, no, I think this is just a limit of mine. And the upper limit is kind of like the, oh, I'm not used to experiencing this much of what I want. And you almost like don't, and you don't, because you don't know yourself that way, you kind of like peg yourself back down. You're almost like scared, like, I don't know what it's like to be in a relationship with you in this space.
Hmm.
Um, you know,
Hmm.
and that can be scary, like getting to know each other in a new way. And like in hiking, same thing. Like I just, when you weren't as healthy, like I just never really. I could see we haven't really taken that on fully yet as a couple. But I just kind of wrote it off in my mind. Kind of like I've written off like snowboarding or skiing. Like just I'm just not gonna ever see you that way.
Hmm.
But it doesn't mean like something snaps in you 10 years from now, and
Yeah,
you
but
know
hiking and stuff was something that I always wanted to do. I just like
that's
physically could
true.
not do
That's
it.
true.
I was always like in pain or bedridden or something. Whereas like snowboarding or skiing, I'm like, I actually just don't want
I was just,
it. Like, it's
or
just like
scuba
not
diving.
like no, you cannot breathe underwater. You are not welcome there. Do not try. I feel the same way about space. Like you're
It's hostile for
you're
a reason.
you cannot breathe there for a reason. So don't.
Maybe we should probably learn
I don't
to.
know. I'm like that is not. Mm.
It's pretty cool, but I think we should probably uh, keep our feet on the grass. Um, yeah. Is there anything? What are you looking for? What are you looking forward to the most this week?
What am I looking forward to the most? I'm looking forward to feeling well in leading a workshop?
Okay. Yeah, we
Because
talked about that
we did talk about that earlier. We talked about that a little bit yesterday, just like in the living room or whatever. But so this has been a very long, long process of learning, and I don't even know how to describe the training and what this looks like. But it was a lot of workshops, a lot of learning, a lot of growth and reflection and all sorts of things that ended then being stuck at home together during a global pandemic. So,
earlier.
and during nighttime, I chose to get healthy and make sure that I felt well, because what I was pushing through that I thought was like, well, it's just how it is, was chronic migraines and don't that's loud. Chronic, sorry, it's just stop. Chronic, I was just pushing through chronic migraines, pain, inflammation, injuries. So whenever we would travel to go lead these, and there was a lot. I think we went, it was like a lot. We were traveling like every 6 weeks, like every 6 or 8 weeks. And whenever we would go anywhere and then have to lead or co-lead a workshop, I was constantly in pain, fighting something. So something was always like taking up like mental energy
Yes.
and physical energy.
I'm excited to see
And
how that manifests for you, by the way.
yeah, like there was always a space occupied by something. And it wasn't that I couldn't do it or I couldn't do a good job or whatever. It was just in my own world. There was
Okay.
an experience happening. So whereas, and I hadn't cut out alcohol either. Um, so I feel like even between those
But still,
times,
you have always been a leader.
sure, that has nothing to do with it,
Yeah,
but I'm just saying in between those times, then I wasn't getting any better, right? In between going to lead workshops or anything. It was just like a long cycle of like perpetuating my own problems. So yeah, so I'm excited to like go and just feel refreshed and a bit normal and not be terrified. Because now if I, let's say I was to wake up with a headache or migraine, which is not going to happen, had or if that were to be the experience now, I'm so much more equipped,
yeah,
even so, to still push through with a little grit and not be so occupied by it.
got it.
Yeah, what are you most excited
I find a lot of joy when there's like this. It's kind of hard to explain. I've always enjoyed this with management too. When you really have the full awareness of people
Mhm.
as they experience something, like as like a light bulb clip
Oh, I was thinking
clicks.
from, like, my experience, like,
Oh,
what I'm excited for. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
I
always
know.
excited for, like, the transformation
Yeah,
and
but
the
that's why I'm excited.
availability to the room, like, that is, like, there is nothing like that when you
Oh,
know
yeah,
that you can see one of our other leaders, she was so funny. She said, and it was so, like, nonchalant, but it literally is true. She's like, "You know when you walk into the room and, like, the very first day and everyone is, like, dead in the room?" And it's so true. It's like you walk in and everyone's kinda dead in the room. And by the end of the weekend, there is, like, this aliveness. There's, like,
yeah.
this eye-opening awaken to so many new things available.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's just in the relationship here. That's not even including the relationships that they have, like, in everything that they do. And it is really cool to see a room do that throughout, like, 48 hours.
Yes. Okay. Well, I will say that one thing I'm looking forward to is that I think there's a bit more calmness in our company. Meaning, I think we 3 more years, we've been through some stuff, and I think that what that will do is in times where you know you whenever you're given a presentation, you're in front of a group. I think the greatest fear is like you kind of go blank or you like lose that powerful moment. Everyone, you want to be in that flow state, and that's like a very profound place to be.
Mhm.
But I also feel like I have a lot more trust in. Sometimes I am having faith that it'll come to us, even though we're not like when we did the workshop in 2020. Like it was like we were like engaged, 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 engaged. So it was almost muscle memory.
Oh,
Now,
I don't feel like that. I actually feel like it's more muscle memory now. But my experience
mm,
was different
okay, maybe
because I had to effort
your
so
experience was
hard.
different.
I
Yeah,
had to effort so hard to
I definitely took. Yeah,
focus and to like, what are we doing? And like, okay, because I was pushing through something. So now I'm like, maybe that's why I'm
do you
like,
think that
this
would?
is a piece of cake. I'm
Do
like,
you think that
let's
would
freaking
change?
go. I'm so excited.
Because
And
I'm not saying this, but yeah, 'cause last one I think I was more.
well,
I took like
I did
the
a lot more of the more of the logistical
yes,
exercise stuff.
and that was that because of
And
your health primarily. You think?
yeah, I had no capacity for
Yeah.
anything. I mean, I couldn't even get on some calls with you, remember?
Oh
You
yeah.
would get on calls on mentorship calls by yourself because
Yeah.
I was literally in bed with like a migraine and you have to get on calls by yourself.
Yeah. Mm,
I mean,
wow.
in the house. Remember?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I had that too, but I think right when we got to this house, like my headaches got better.
Yeah. So yeah, so like that's how bad it was. Like I would just
Mm,
straight up miss things
yeah.
because it was so bad. And something else is you had maybe more or maybe less security then of me being able to jump in, whereas now I could jump in at any
Yeah.
point.
I
If you
think.
were to be like, "Sarah, I don't wanna do this part," I'd be like, "Okay." Whereas last time, if you were like, "I don't wanna do this part," I'd be like, "No, no, no,
In
you
a
actually have to do this part because I cannot do it."
in a
And at this point, I'm like, "Oh, no, either of us can do the whole entire thing, it wouldn't matter."
yes. And what we're talking about is there's a responsibility that is needed to pull things out that of people. So what we're
Yeah.
talking about
So yeah.
is I think there's a capacity that is and a type of engagement and listening that is required.
Right, because unlike teaching or giving a lecture or a presentation, uh, it's not a curriculum. It's a working with the room in such a way
That they can
that
see
that you're guiding them to see something
they
they
live.
haven't seen before in the lives that they live.
But
So
they live it every
and
day.
there's been a lot of people who have attempted to try to learn how to lead this transformational work, and it's really challenging because it's not just lead this is the outline, here is what you said, but it's just not that way. We've sat in so many rooms in the same with the same workshop work with entirely different experiences each time
Mhm.
because the room creates something on their own.
Yeah, maybe I'm
And
excited
so
for that. I think maybe I'm excited to
mhm,
see what unfolds between the 2 of us. I think, well, I think I'm excited so from an individual level, I'm excited for that to see what unfolds. I think we will. There'll be a counting on each other in that
mhm,
regard.
mhm.
But of course, there's natural excitement because it's like it's no different than when you go see a movie. You like to see people experience things. Like
Yeah,
everyone knows that. Like I don't like watching movies again by
yeah.
myself. I just don't. But I actually love watching movies again with somebody that hasn't seen it. So I'm like, if there's a really a cool movie I like and like, I haven't seen it, I'm like, oh, I'll watch it again. Okay, haven't you already seen it? I'm like, I want to watch it with you because it's your first time. And there's a lot of joy in it. It just I think it shows
There is a lot of
how
that, yeah.
extraordinary
Mhm. Yeah.
experiencing relationship with someone is.
Yep,
And that's a
yep.
really fun thing. So I'm
It
excited for
is
that.
really fun. Mhm.
Yeah.
So, anyway, okay, well, we have to get going. Zach is going to meet someone for coffee,
Hmm.
and we're just looking forward to the weekend. And if you're like, "Shoot, I think I'm interested in doing the next weekend or the next time they do this," uh, reach out to us. Like, let's get in conversation about it because these are just created,
Yep.
and there's the free guide to get you started. So, go download that right now.
May the 4th be with
And may the 4th be with you. Okay. How do